It's something very great that we have for the world to invite them to be here.
Just when I had thought history had revealed all its secrets, Odisha's Ratnagiri throws a curveball. Archaeologists have unearthed the largest Buddha head ever found in the region. Hidden beneath layers of earth for centuries, this colossal relic is rewriting what we know about Ratnagiri's role as a major Buddhist center. But why was a Buddha head this massive buried so deep beneath the earth in the first place? Let's find out. They weren't supposed to find this. 3 massive Buddha heads, a giant palm, and a shrine complex that had been buried for centuries. Odisha's Ratnagiri site has always been a treasure trove of Buddhist history. But this changed everything. The site sits at the heart of the Diamond Triangle, Ratnagiri, Udaigiri, and Lalitgiri, once home to a thriving Vajrayana Buddhist monastery. But why did it collapse? What was buried underneath? And who or what was responsible for the destruction? That's exactly what archaeologists set out to uncover. At first, it was just an excavation, a few artifacts, some pottery shards, but then the ground gave way, revealing something no one expected. 3 colossal Buddha heads, carved with haunting precision, their elongated earlobes resting above a lion pedestal. But here's the eerie part: their noses completely intact. Normally, invaders would smash the faces of sacred sculptures, but these were too tall, too unreachable. So instead, they were severed at the neck, beheaded. And that wasn't all. A giant stone palm was uncovered nearby, its meaning still a mystery. Was it a symbolic relic, a guardian figure, or something else entirely? Then came the inscriptions. Faded Sanskrit lines written in Kutila script, dating back to the 8th century CE, and buried within them were Buddhist Dharani hymns, powerful chants believed to hold divine energy. Was this monastery once a center for sacred rituals, a place of enlightenment, or did it hold secrets someone wanted erased? Piece by piece, the puzzle is coming together. Hundreds of monolithic stupas, dozens of Vajrayana deities including Tara, Avalokitesvara, Haruka, an entire lost world beneath the surface. But here's the part they don't tell you. This site isn't just a relic of the past, it's part of something much bigger. Odisha's history isn't just about emperors and monks, it's about voyages, traders, the silent movement of culture across centuries. More than 2,000 years ago, Odia sailors, Sadhabas, set sail from these very lands, heading toward Bali, Java, Borneo. They weren't just merchants, they were carriers of faith. They took Buddhism, Hinduism, the Ramayana, and the Mahabharata across the seas, shaping civilizations far beyond the Indian subcontinent. And now, the sands of Ratnagiri are giving up their secrets, one artifact at a time. But the mystery of Ratnagiri doesn't end there. Ratnagiri, literally known as the Hill of Jewels, isn't just another archaeological site. It's a gateway to a lost world. Sitting alongside Udayagiri and Lalitagiri in Odisha's Diamond Triangle, this site has been hiding its secrets for centuries, stretching across 18 acres of the Asya Hill Range on the banks of the Kelua River. Ratnagiri once stood as a beacon of Vajrayana Buddhism. But why was it abandoned? And why is the excavation resuming now, after decades of silence? The first major dig happened between 1958 and 1961, led by none other than Debala Mitra, India's first woman archaeologist and a former ASI Director General. What she uncovered was staggering. 2 massive monasteries, a towering stupa, shrines, and sculptures scattered like forgotten relics. And yet, after 1961, the excavation stopped. The land held more secrets, but no one returned to uncover them until now. Why now? Because those colossal Buddha heads demand answers. The ASI isn't just piecing together Ratnagiri's past, they're looking for traces of Southeast Asian influence, proof of ancient connections that could rewrite history. And Ratnagiri isn't alone. Odisha's landscape is dotted with over 100 ancient Buddhist sites, from the rock edicts of Dhauli to the ruins of Langudi, Kayama, and Tarapur, each one a piece of a larger puzzle, linking the region not just to India's past, but to the entire Buddhist world. And then, There's the Bali Yatra, a festival like no other. Every year for 7 days, the people of Cuttack gather to celebrate something extraordinary, a 2,000-year-old legacy of maritime exploration. Long before European explorers set sail, the Sadhabas, Odia seafarers, were already navigating the Indian Ocean, reaching the shores of Bali, Java, Sumatra, and beyond. But they weren't just traders. They carried stories, religions, entire cultures. They brought Buddhism to Southeast Asia, weaving together histories that still echo today. And now, as archaeologists dig deeper into Ratnagiri, the question remains, what else is waiting to be found? Ratnagiri's Buddhist legacy is just one piece of a much larger story, one that stretches far beyond India's borders. Across the mountains of Afghanistan in the Bamiyan Valley, another monumental Buddhist site once stood, only to be reduced to dust in a matter of days. They stood for over 1,000 years, towering over the Bamiyan Valley like sentinels of an ancient world. Monks, travelers, and warriors passed beneath them, gazing up in awe at the colossal Buddhas carved into the cliffs. But today, they are gone, blown to dust in an act of destruction so shocking that the world watched in horror. But here is the real question. What did they leave behind? Long before their tragic destruction, these Buddhas were not just statues. They were part of a massive religious complex, a labyrinth of hidden caves and sacred paintings tucked away in the Afghan mountains. This place was once a thriving Buddhist center, a key stop along the Silk Road. Pilgrims carved elaborate monasteries into the rock, filling them with colorful murals, some of the earliest known oil paintings in the world. But centuries of invasion and war buried these treasures in layers of darkness. When the caves were later used as homes, smoke from centuries of fires coated the paintings, sealing them beneath a protective layer of soot. And that is the twist. What seemed like destruction actually preserved them. The great Buddhas, one 125 feet tall and the other an astonishing 175 feet, once dominated the valley. Their robes, carved with an ancient technique using ropes and mud, rippled as if frozen in time. But their faces, gone, defaced centuries ago. When the Taliban arrived in 2001, they finished the job. Using explosives, they turned these giants into nothing but rubble. But before they disappeared forever, something chilling happened. Hidden tunnels were discovered behind the Buddhas, leading to secret passageways that had been sealed for centuries. Inside, more untouched murals, Buddhist relics, and evidence that the site was even larger than archaeologists ever imagined. Today, the ruins of the Bamiyan Buddhas are a haunting reminder of what was lost. But here is where it gets interesting. Some experts believe they can bring them back. With international efforts, Indian engineers have been working on reconstructing the shattered remains. Could these statues rise again? Maybe. But even if they do not, their legacy, like the caves, the paintings, and the secrets hidden within Bamiyan's cliffs, will never be erased. The destruction of the Bamiyan Buddhas in March 2001 marked one of the most devastating acts of cultural vandalism in modern history. The two massive statues, carved into the cliffs of central Afghanistan in the 6th century, had stood as symbols of the region's Buddhist past for over 1,000 years. Despite surviving the Mongol invasions and even earlier attempts at destruction, they ultimately fell to the Taliban. The process of demolition was systematic and prolonged. Initially, Taliban fighters bombarded the statues with anti-aircraft guns and artillery fire, but these efforts were not enough to bring them down. They escalated their tactics by placing explosives inside drilled holes and even using anti-tank mines at the base, triggering larger collapses when rock fragments fell. The destruction continued over several weeks, with additional explosives and rocket fire needed to fully obliterate the statues. Even then, remnants of the sculptures remained embedded in the cliffside. The Taliban's motivations for the act remained debated. In 2000, Taliban leader Mullah Omar had acknowledged the statues' potential for tourism revenue and vowed to protect them. However, by early 2001, a drastic shift occurred. The official justification was religious, citing Islamic prohibitions against idolatry, but some theories suggest political motives. The Taliban may have been making a statement against Western pressure, reacting to sanctions, or attempting to draw attention to Afghanistan's humanitarian crisis. Some also speculate that the growing influence of Al-Qaeda played a role in the decision. Following their destruction, international efforts emerged to restore or digitally reconstruct the Buddhas. Today, the empty niches serve as a haunting reminder of their loss, while initiatives continue to preserve what remains of Bamiyan's cultural heritage. Following the destruction of the Bamiyan Buddhas in 2001, UNESCO and Afghan officials continue to work on preserving what remains of this historic site. Despite global condemnation and efforts to safeguard Afghanistan's cultural heritage, the Taliban carried out the demolition of the 1,400-year-old statues, erasing one of the world's most significant Buddhist monuments. However, UNESCO has since undertaken initiatives to stabilize the site, conserve mural paintings in the surrounding Buddhist caves, and train Afghan conservationists. Today, Bamiyan Valley remains a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but it faces ongoing threats: illegal excavations, encroaching development, and even Taliban members using the remnants of the Buddhas for target practice have raised concerns about the site's long-term preservation. Adding to these challenges, the Taliban has reportedly approved the construction of a tourism complex near the Buddhist monastery caves and allowed coal mining operations in the area, further endangering the fragile cultural landscape. Despite these threats, efforts to maintain the site's integrity persist. UNESCO has implemented a 3-phase project aimed at securing the cliffs where the statues once stood, preserving surviving fragments, and protecting the site from further damage. However, the future of Bamiyan Valley remains uncertain, as ongoing political instability and economic struggles in Afghanistan complicate heritage conservation efforts. After everything that happened, no one expected to see the Bamiyan Buddhas again, this time as a hologram over the actual statue. But on June 6th and 7th, something incredible happened. A Chinese couple, Zhang Xinyu and Liang Hong, projected the statues back onto the empty cliffs, illuminating the void left by the Taliban's destruction. For 8 hours each night, light replaced what was lost, and the people of Bamiyan gathered, singing, dancing, and watching history come back to life. Think about that for a second. These Buddhas, towering over 100 feet tall, had stood for nearly 1,500 years, witnessing the rise and fall of empires. Then, in 2001, the Taliban obliterated them with dynamite. Gone. Just like that. The world watched in horror. And for 14 years, all that remained were hollow recesses carved into the rock, until 2 adventurers from China decided that wasn't how the story would end. But this wasn't just a flashy light show. Zhang and Liang took serious precautions. They used metal halogen lamps with a quartz glass mask to ensure the ancient site wasn't damaged. They even left the equipment behind, donating it to local authorities so the images could return every March. It wasn't a permanent fix, but it was a powerful message. History can be erased, but it can also be remembered. For the people of Bamiyan, this was more than just a projection. It was a moment of defiance against those who had tried to erase their culture. It was proof that the Buddhas still existed, not in stone, but in memory. And let's not forget what these Buddhas represented in the first place. Built in the 6th century, they were masterpieces of Gandhara art, a stunning fusion of Greco-Buddhist influence. They weren't just statues. They were symbols of a time when Afghanistan was a crossroads of civilizations, a hub of culture and knowledge. That's exactly why the Taliban wanted them gone. But here's the thing about history. No matter how hard people try to erase it, it always finds a way back. Maybe not in the form it once was, but in ways that keep its spirit alive. For 2 nights in June, light filled the void, and that light isn't going out anytime soon. For years, the empty cliffs of Bamiyan stood as a haunting reminder of what was lost. But while light projections briefly brought the Buddhas back, another ancient masterpiece in Pakistan was getting a second chance, this time permanently. In Swat Valley, A colossal 7th century Buddha had its face blown apart in 2007 when the Taliban tried to erase its history. They drilled holes into its head and shoulders, packing them with explosives. Half the face vanished in an instant. But the second charge failed. The destruction sparked outrage worldwide. For years, the wounded statue sat in silence, a symbol of both tragedy and resilience. Then, after nearly a decade, restoration efforts began. Led by the Italian Archaeological Mission in Pakistan, a team of experts, including 3D scanning specialists and master restorers, worked painstakingly to return the Buddha to its original form. 6 scientific missions, spanning from 2012 to 2016, slowly pieced together what the Taliban had tried to destroy. Using advanced conservation techniques, they reconstructed the missing features, reviving not just the statue, but also the history it represents. And this wasn't just about art. It was about reclaiming a past that extremists had tried to wipe out. Swat Valley was once a thriving center of Buddhist culture, home to over 1,000 monasteries and sacred sites. Pilgrims traveled from across Asia to visit these monuments. Now, with peace restored and the Buddha standing tall once again, Swat is reclaiming its place on the world map of cultural heritage. The restoration has already started drawing international attention. The first foreign delegation to visit after the project's completion, a group of Russian tourists eager to witness the revived masterpiece. Standing at the base of the towering sculpture, they marveled at its intricate carvings and the stunning view of the valley beyond. For the people of Swat, this isn't just a relic, it's proof that their history is worth preserving. And for the world, it's a reminder that destruction doesn't have to be the final chapter, because no matter how hard some try to erase the past, history has a way of finding its way back. Swat's Buddha, once defaced by extremists, now stands proudly restored. But it is not the only colossal Buddha to command awe. Journey east to Hong Kong, where an even more immense figure dominates the skyline, the Tian Buddha. Towering at 34 meters and weighing over 250 metric tons, this bronze colossus sits on Lantau Island, watching over Po Lin Monastery. Unlike the ancient rock carvings of Swat, the Tian Buddha is a modern marvel, completed in 1993 after 12 years of meticulous craftsmanship. Its sheer size and intricate detailing make it one of the most impressive Buddhist statues in the world, drawing thousands of visitors each year. But Tian is more than just a statue. It is a symbol of harmony. Seated atop a lotus throne on a grand 3-tiered altar, the Buddha represents the balance between humanity and nature, faith and reality. Surrounding it are 6 smaller bronze figures, known as the Offering of the 6 Devas, each presenting a different gift: flowers, incense, a lamp, ointment, fruit, and music. These offerings symbolize the 6 perfections: generosity, morality, patience, zeal, meditation, and wisdom, the fundamental virtues on the path to enlightenment. Reaching the Buddha is no small feat. Visitors must ascend 268 steps, a pilgrimage in itself, testing their devotion and endurance. But those who make the climb are rewarded with breathtaking panoramic views of the island and the South China Sea, a sight as serene as the statue itself. The experience is a spiritual and physical journey, much like the teachings of Buddhism, requiring effort, patience, and reflection. Unlike the Buddha of Swat, Tian has never faced destruction, but it has witnessed its own share of history. Standing firm through political changes and social upheaval, it remains a beacon of peace and introspection. In a city known for its skyscrapers and relentless energy, the Tian Buddha offers a rare moment of stillness, a reminder of the eternal amidst the transient. From the ruins of Swat to the towering presence of Tian, these Buddhas stand as testaments to resilience, devotion, and the enduring power of faith. One was reborn from destruction, the other remains unshaken, both inspiring generations across time and space. If the Tian Buddha impresses with its sheer scale and spiritual significance, the Leshan giant Buddha takes grandeur to an entirely new level. Standing at a staggering 71 meters tall, this massive stone statue is the largest Buddha carving in the world, dwarfing everything around it. Nestled into the cliffs of Sichuan province, China, it has silently watched over the meeting point of the Minjiang, Dadu, and Qingyi rivers for over a millennium. Carved directly into the rock face during the Tang Dynasty, construction began in 713 AD under the guidance of a Buddhist monk named Hai Tong. His vision? To create a guardian figure that would calm the turbulent waters and protect passing ships. The sheer ambition behind this project was immense, requiring thousands of laborers and nearly 90 years to complete. But the results? Absolutely breathtaking. With half-lidded eyes and a serene expression, the Lishan giant Buddha exudes an overwhelming sense of peace, almost as if it knows secrets lost to time. And the scale is mind-blowing. Each eyebrow alone measures over 5 meters, 16 feet long, and a single foot could easily accommodate a full picnic. What's even more remarkable is the advanced drainage system built into the statue, a network of hidden pipes and channels that prevent water damage and erosion, helping to preserve it against the elements for centuries. Despite this, modern pollution and weathering remain ongoing threats, sparking conservation efforts to maintain this awe-inspiring wonder. But perhaps the most haunting part? The legend that Hai Tong, the monk who spearheaded the project, gouged out his own eyes to prove his devotion when funding was at risk. While the truth behind the story is uncertain, it only adds to the mystique of this already larger-than-life monument. Today, the Leshan Giant Buddha is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a major pilgrimage destination, drawing visitors from around the world who stand in awe at its colossal presence. If the Leshan Giant Buddha is a symbol of ancient devotion and sheer engineering brilliance, then Buddha Park in Laos takes Buddhist art in an entirely different direction, one that's surreal, eerie, and utterly captivating. Found along the banks of the Mekong River near Vientiane, this park isn't home to just one massive Buddha, but an entire collection of over 200 statues, each more bizarre and mesmerizing than the last. Built in 1958 by a mystic and priest named Bunlewa Sulilat, Buddha Park, also known as Xiangquan, feels like something pulled from a dream, or maybe a nightmare. Unlike traditional Buddhist sites, this one fuses Hindu and Buddhist imagery in a way that is both breathtaking and unsettling. Towering figures of deities, demons, and mythical creatures are scattered throughout, their worn-down stone faces staring blankly into the distance. Some appear serene, others menacing, and a few are downright bizarre, like the giant pumpkin-shaped structure visitors can actually enter. And that's where things get really weird. The 3-story pumpkin represents the 3 realms of existence: hell, earth, and heaven. Enter through a gaping demon mouth, and suddenly you're winding through dark, narrow staircases lined with eerie sculptures depicting suffering souls and divine beings. Finally, you emerge at the top, greeted by an expansive view of the park's sprawling collection of stone figures. It's a visual overload. Buddha statues reclining in peaceful meditation, multi-armed deities locked in battle, and creatures that look like they've stepped straight out of ancient mythology. Despite its relatively young age, Buddha Park has become a must-see destination, drawing curious travelers eager to experience its strange blend of spirituality and surrealism. But Bunlewa Sulilat's story doesn't end here. After a political shift in Laos, he fled to Thailand and created an even larger version of his vision, Sala Keoku, a sister park filled with even more gigantic and mind-bending sculptures. So what is Buddha Park? A holy site? A massive art installation? A monument to one man's unique spiritual vision? Maybe it's all of the above. And honestly, there's nothing else quite like it. If Buddha Park in Laos is a surreal maze of mysticism and imagination, the giant Buddha of Kamakura is the complete opposite: simple, solemn, and deeply revered. Standing tall amidst the lush greenery of Kotoku-in Temple in Japan, this breathtaking bronze statue has been watching over Kamakura for nearly 800 years. At over 13 meters high and weighing approximately 121 tons, this colossal Amida Buddha is one of Japan's most iconic religious monuments. But what makes it truly remarkable isn't just its size. It's the fact that it has stood the test of time, surviving earthquakes, typhoons, and even a tsunami that wiped out the original temple hall that once housed it. Now it sits in the open air, exposed to the elements, yet exuding an unshakable sense of peace and resilience. Historians believe the statue was cast in the mid-13th century, during a period when Kamakura was the political center of Japan. Commissioned by a Buddhist priest, it was originally enclosed in a grand wooden hall, which was destroyed by a massive storm in the 14th century. After multiple attempts to rebuild the structure failed, the decision was made to leave the Buddha under the sky, where it has remained ever since, silent, serene, and immovable. One of the most fascinating things about the Kamakura Buddha is that visitors can actually step inside it. A small opening in the back leads into the hollow interior, where the seams of its massive bronze plates are visible. Standing within, surrounded by the metal walls of a centuries-old masterpiece, is an experience both humbling and awe-inspiring. Unlike other colossal Buddhas that are often part of vast temple complexes, Kamakura's Great Buddha sits alone, yet it commands the same level of reverence. Pilgrims and tourists alike travel from around the world to witness its quiet majesty, a testament to Japan's enduring Buddhist heritage. Even as modern life buzzes around Kamakura, the Great Buddha remains unchanged, a symbol of stillness in an ever-moving world. And whether it's bathed in the golden light of sunset or dusted with fresh snow, one thing is certain: this ancient giant isn't going anywhere. Do you think more hidden Buddhist artifacts are out there, just waiting to be discovered? Maybe this is just the beginning of even bigger finds.